All right, what's up, everybody? We are back here again with Backyard Bookies. It's time. It's here. It's playoff season. We got the college football playoff on deck. Joined with me, as always, my co-host Scott. Scott, we just picked 30 meaningless bowl games. It's time to pick some meaningful playoff games. Are you ready for this one?
Yeah, I'm excited to actually, obviously pick these meaningful games, but also just have like a real playoff in college football instead of just, four teams and a bunch of teams not, making it or even having a chance to win the national championship. So a lot of fun. 12 teams making it. A couple teams that probably shouldn't be in it, but they are anyway. Um, but yeah, it's as good as they could do this year. I hope they change it a little bit next year, but excited for these games. So. Um, yeah, we'll see what our picks are gonna be like.
All right, first round of the playoffs on deck. I agree, not the perfect bracket. We at least have 12 teams. They'll probably work some things out. Probably in particularly the conference championship buys. That's probably going away with really soon here because of how the seeding ended up. But our first game on Friday, we got Indiana at Notre Dame. What do you got for this one?
Yeah, a little Indiana Bowl to start the college football playoff. Yeah, obviously two very good teams. Indiana, very the big surprise this year. 11-1, just the one loss to Ohio State that was relatively close. Well, it wasn't relatively close. It was. Nah, I wouldn't say
They got
relatively
beat up.
close. It
They got
was
their
kind of
ass
a
kicked.
it's kind of a blowout. Come to think of it, I thought it was a lot closer than it was. But yeah, a little bit of a blowout there. Really, the only big team they played this year um, was Ohio State. Yeah, they lost 38-15. What am I talking about? Um, and then came back and won a 66-0 against Purdue, but everyone beats Purdue. Um, yeah, and this one I'm liking Notre Dame minus the 7.5. I think it's the playoff. Kind of I guess sort of they've been to a playoff before. They've been to the national championship recently. They should be going most years. Um, right now, it looks like betting is pretty much right down the middle. Head to head, obviously they haven't played each other, but um, both teams against the spread have been pretty damn good. And weather looks like it's going to be cold, but even then, you know, they both play in Indiana, so they're both used to the cold and both used to the wind. So that won't be much of a factor. But I just like kind of Notre Dame's been there before, and I think they have a little bit of an edge. Kirk Cignetti is a great coach for Indiana, but yeah, we're gonna take Marcus Freeman and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish minus 7.5.
You know what? This one was interesting. I think this one, as much as we talk about Indiana not belonging to be there, I think they got probably the best matchup they could have in the first round. What's Notre Dame's real test? Week one at College Station's their big win that they're holding their cap on, and A&M obviously didn't finish the season like we all thought they would. But it's going to be a great environment. I think the Irish fans are going to have a real big time home playoff game atmosphere. And I kind of love that it's going to be 28 and a little bit windy. I don't think either of these teams can throw the football. Notre Dame might just line it up and say, stop us. And I kind of love it when a team does that because I don't think Indiana's going to be able to. Now, they didn't necessarily get completely pushed around by Ohio State, but that game was a little deceptive there. We had the turnovers on short fields, we had the punt return for Ohio State. I just don't think Indiana's offense going to be able to generate anything against Notre Dame's defense. They were terrible against Ohio State, and Ohio State's defense is good, but they're not Notre Dame's. Notre Dame might have the best defense in the country, even with the injuries on the back end. So I kind of went back and forth with this one. I'm going to take Notre Dame -7 and the hook as well. Like you said, it's 50-50 down the middle, but I think Notre Dame is just like the better team. I don't think there's much of an edge with the extra rest. I think Marcus Freeman's a very good coach. And as much as Riley Leonard is limited throwing the football, I kind of like that they may not even think about throwing the football in these conditions. And if they just do that and don't get too cute, I think Indiana could be in for a very long night in South Bend.
Yeah, I agree.
All
Yeah,
right.
sounds good to me.
All right, Friday, 11 a.m. This is a crime against humanity that it's this early on a Saturday. We have, for some reason, another team that probably shouldn't be in the playoff. Call me out if you want. We got SMU going to Happy Valley to take on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Both these teams kind of finished the season in the exact opposite way you thought they would. Penn State, great game against Oregon, I thought, in the Big Ten. Probably the best I've felt about Penn State in forever. And then SMU getting dominated for most of that Clemson game. They did make it close. They lose on the last second field goal, but probably the opposite results. Where are you leaning in this one?
Yeah, I feel like this is my lock of the millennium. Um, it's going to be 26. It says 26 and windy in Beaver Stadium. It's going to be a whiteout as well, I believe, in Penn State. Obviously, we know James Franklin, not very good in big games, but that's typically against like the name blue blood, teams. I don't think he's going to be too worried about SMU too much. 8.5 doesn't even seem like nearly enough. Um, Drew Allard's playing. He's obviously going to be playing.
He's
It's a
come.
college football playoff, so he's playing. He's not moving on.
He's
What's
coming
that?
back. He said he's already coming back
Yeah,
for
he's even
next year,
coming.
so they're
He's even
jacked
coming back.
up. He's already coming back.
Yeah, so I've been to Happy Valley. It is a wild place. I haven't been there for a game, but it's just such a small, just random city in Pennsylvania that is just like that's all they care about is Penn State football. They even only have like two hotels. I don't even know how they're going to pull this game off. They have two hotels in the entire city. It's like a Marriott and like a Hilton Garden Inn. That's all they got. I don't know how they're pulling off this, this extra game with all these hotel reservations, whatnot. They're probably going to have to be coming in from Pittsburgh, but either way, it's going to be a wild atmosphere. I mean, SMU deserves to be in the playoff just because of their record and making it to their ACC championship. But at the same time, I think the teams behind them that didn't make it are better, and I think would be favored against them if they were to play them. But also, like you said, they kept it close against Clemson. Ended up losing on that giant field goal to end the game. That's kind of terrible for them. They should have at least gone to overtime and had a chance to win. Um, yeah, just going back to the weather though, I think these Texas boys have no idea what's going to go on in Happy Valley. I don't see them. I don't see them being anywhere near 8.5. I think it's going to be a 20-point game. Penn State.
Um,
I think they
it
just. I think SMU just gets hammered.
It does get a little cold in North Texas there. A little, maybe it dips into the 30s every now and then. But yeah, I mean, I'm hearing like it could be like a 5, 6 hour traffic jam to get into Happy Valley for this one. It's going to be bonkers. I do hate that it's 11 a.m. If this game was at 7, this would be the lock of the universe on this one if this was a night game. So being a little early, SMU being a little cocky and stuff, like, oh, we're not worried about the cold. The social media teams kind of going back and forth, saying they're very familiar with snow, which I don't doubt if you know what I mean. But Penn State -8.5 in this game. I actually think I loved what I saw from Penn State against Oregon. It was weird. They kind of rose to the occasion, and SMU got dominated early by Clemson's defensive line, and Clemson's defensive line is pretty good. I don't think it's nearly as good as Penn State is overall defensively. Like they got killed against Oregon, but Oregon's great, and it was indoors at a track meet. This is going to be outside in bad weather. I don't think there's really going to be any speed advantage for SMU on the outside. Fun season for the Ponies, but I think you're right. I think this one gets ugly very fast.
Yeah, like I said, like Penn State's a crazy place. I don't think SMU has played in the kind of atmosphere even anywhere near like that. Maybe playing at Clemson um, might be close, but this late in the year and this kind of cold, I don't see the Ponies doing anything. They might score a few touchdowns, but I think they might. Honestly, I think Penn State might keep it relatively close, but it's not going to look that way. It's either going to get ran down their throats or they blow them out. So yeah, Penn State I think is going to roll here.
All right, let's head to our neck of the woods. We have the Clemson Tigers, your 12 seed ACC champions, taking on the University of Texas at Austin Longhorns. Yeah, this is your 12-5 matchup, and I think people might be sleeping a little bit on Clemson in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure everyone's seen on ESPN, Instagram, whatever. This is a state championship rematch. Quinn Ewers against Kate Klubnik, Westlake against what is it? He
Southlake.
went to
It was
South Lake Carroll. Yeah.
Southlake Carroll. Yeah.
So yeah, fun matchup there. Rematch there, but yeah, I do have Clemson plus 12 in this one. They keep it relatively close. I mean, Quinn Ewers has looked okay, but not nearly as good as he should for this type of seed for what they're at. You said they're the 2 seed, yeah, 2 seed,
Yeah,
3 seed,
they're the
no, 5
5
seed, right?
seed,
Yeah,
Texas,
sorry.
but they're the number
It
1
was
non-conference champion, yeah.
right. So number one non-conference champion. Quinn Ewers has been Um, Wisner tore us up, but he didn't do anything in the SEC championship game. And I think I do think Clemson has a little something to prove. Dabo, he's been to many playoff games, many national championship games. He's been there before. He'll get the guys ready. Um, and Klubnik is a very slept upon quarterback. I think he's very solid. They at least keep this one close. I think Texas might win by 3 or something. I think 12 is way too much though. So I'm going Clemson plus 12.
Yeah, when the bracket came out, I initially said, "Oh, of course, Texas is a cupcake walk to the national championship, or at least the semifinal." The winner of this game gets Arizona State, which you got to just be licking your chops at. But when you dig into it a little bit more, Clemson's defensive line is a very good unit. It's probably their best unit on defense, and Texas struggles up front. I talked about this in the Georgia game. As bad as Georgia was offensively, Texas couldn't do anything on offense, especially in the second half of that game. And something is not right with Quinn Ewers. I don't think Sarkisian trusts him. The play calling is affected by that. And I don't know if it's his oblique, if it's his ankle, if it's both. He's just not driving the football. We saw a terrible interception late in that SEC title game. But Texas's defense is a unit. They are just playing lights out, probably the most slept on thing. I think Klubnik being an advantage with his legs could give Clemson a little bit of juice there because things are going to break down. I don't think they're going to be able to get much coverage or run the football. I'm going to take Clemson plus the 12. I just think Texas's offense is so kind of like that Miami Dolphins offense where everything has to be on schedule, everything's on crisp, clean timing. And if Ewers can't move, things break down up front. They aren't able to pound the rock like they did against A&M, and they really couldn't do against Georgia. You'll see them struggle, and 12 is just too big. I'm with you. I think Texas maybe finds a way to win this game, especially at home, having the experience of the playoff game as well last year. But I think Clemson actually shocks a lot of people and makes this one close.
Yeah, I even saw. I'm not sure if it's 100% true, but I even saw that Bill Belichick is might try to fish the two Texas quarterbacks, at least one of them, away from Texas with a giant NIL deal. I don't know if that's going to be some distraction or not, if that's even real. Yeah, I like everything you said. I think Clemson keeps this one relatively close. Um, 12 is way too many. I think I'd even take Clemson if it was around 8. Um, yeah, 12 just seems a little too much for me. Yeah, it should be a fun game though.
Especially if we get two blowouts in the previous previous two games, it usually evens out. And the final game of the first round of the college football playoff, probably the two worst fan bases in either conference. They're drunk, they're loud, they're aggressive, but it's going to make for an unbelievable atmosphere. We have Tennessee at Ohio State. Both teams kind of finishing the seasons with, a whimper and not so much of a thud. And, 8-9 game, 7.5 for Ohio State. What do you got here?
Yeah, Jay just texted me and said I pick LSU for every single game, so it's probably good he didn't come on
There
the
you go.
program. You might lose a few games that way, but yeah, this one, night game at the shoe. As we know, Ryan Day is playing, not playing Michigan, so um, he might actually do pretty well in this one. But we are a Nico podcast. We started that early. We started,
Oh, there you
Nico
go.
for Heisman very early. Didn't work out as well as we wanted to, but he's a very good quarterback, and they also have played pretty well in the last few games. A loss to Georgia, but on UTEP, whatever. Um, but a win against Vandy, and then they've won at least 4 of the last 5. I'm sure more than that. Um, yeah, I like Tennessee in this one. Was it plus 8.5 in this
It's
one? Let's
seven,
see.
seven
Yeah,
and a
seven
half
and a half.
down to 7.5.
Yeah, I'm not a really big Will Howard fan. I don't think he's really the answer for quarterback. They need someone a lot more dynamic. I think he makes the regular plays pretty well, but when it comes to crunch time, he kind of forces stuff, and that's pretty much what happened in the Michigan game. He forced in terrible passes, tried way too hard. Obviously, they're playing at home, but like I said, they played Michigan there, they lost. Um, I do think they might end up winning the game. I think it's a lot like the Texas game. They might end up winning close. Um, but I think Nico's come alive a little bit towards the end of the year. and think I think the number is a little too high. It's a touchdown and a hook, so like the hook there. So we're gonna take Tennessee plus 7.5 in this one.
I was kind of with you all the way up into it, and I think I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna take Ohio State minus 7.5. I don't love this pick at all. I just think when you look at it, Ohio State is really good at home against not Michigan. They're really good at home. I mean, atmosphere does kind of matter. In Tennessee, if you look at that Alabama game, there were some plays wide open where this passing attack could actually take advantage. If Ohio State wants to act like a bunch of idiots and try and out physical Tennessee like they try to do with Michigan, it's the worst pick in the world. Tennessee will win this game comfortably. But if Ohio State just lets the guys out there, pulls the Ferraris out of the garage, if you know what I'm getting at here. Just let those guys ride, throw it up, like just every play. Just go take a shot. As first down, just take a shot downfield. You got dogs out there. The weather, it's going to be cold, but not really too windy or anything like that. So I don't think that has an effect on anything. And maybe Ryan Day just kind of does like this, pulls this. Everybody doubts us. Everybody hates us. He's actually been relatively good in playoff games, I think, for as an underdog. In spots where people don't really think on him and he has the extra time to prepare. He's looked good in a lot of first round games. I know it's not an underdog here, but it's still kind of, the mentality is there. Like nobody believes in Ohio State anymore. They screwed this thing up. People are saying Ohio State shouldn't even be in because of how bad they have Penn State win, I guess, but that's good enough for them. Plus they could get a shot at Oregon. And I know that's a big motivation that they got denied the Big Ten championship game, get a shot at Oregon. So I'm going to take the Buckeyes here. I don't love this pick at all. Minus 7.5. Plus we can't go 4 for 4 with the exact same picks on this program. So it'll give us a little something to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think Ohio State could end up winning the whole thing. To be honest, they had the team to do it. Do they have the plays and the coaching to be able to do it? I don't know. Ryan Day, I think, is a good coach. He just needs to beat Michigan. That's his big problem. It's the one
So,
problem with him is he cannot beat the biggest game for them every single year. Um, but yeah, he's played in big games. I think he can probably come out and win this game. Yeah, but I like the points. They could win by 3 or 4, and we end up winning. So, um, yeah, I like Tennessee with plus points, but Ohio State could very well win this game. Um, yeah, could be interesting. They had the players to do it, but let's see if they can pull it off.
yep. Should be fun. I'm excited to get this first round out of the way. Running back your picks real quick here, and we'll wrap it up.
Yep, Notre Dame minus 7.5 against Indiana. Penn State minus 8.5 in the pick of the millennium. I'm probably putting
You're
real good
crazy.
money on this one when I get to someone's gonna put some money on it for me. Clemson plus 12 against Texas and Tennessee plus 7.5 against Ohio State.
Yep. I got Notre Dame minus 7.5 against Indiana on Friday night. Saturday morning, Penn State minus 8.5 against SMU. Clemson plus 12 in Austin against the Longhorns. And I'm going to ride with my hated Buckeyes minus 7.5 against the Volunteers in the shoe. That's going to do it for us this week. We will be back again before the start of the second round quarterfinals coming out here. We've got to figure out that holiday schedule, but just know before I think the 31st is the first day for the second round. So should be a lot of fun. Yeah, we're going to ride this thing out to the end. Again, if you haven't already, drop a quick like on this video, hit that subscribe button. We got all sorts of daily sports content for you guys. Again, like, subscribe, and share. We'll see y'all tomorrow.